The Criminal Enterprises DLC, or I guess lack thereof when it comes to the DLC. I don't think there's really an awful lot to say about this update, considering the fact that most, if not all of it, is really just stuff that is quality of life over new actual content. The actual new content can really be boiled down to a total of 6 missions, and the rest of it seems to be all drip feed. Literally, the amount of drip feed in this DLC is unlike we've ever seen before. And I often do wonder why exactly Rockstar has decided to have this much drip feed in this DLC. Drip feed is always this interesting conversation to be had, because on one side, you want to play all the new content, but on the other side, do you really want to burn through all the new content in one go? Fortnite is a really good example of keeping the game fresh from time to time. Now, I'm not a super active player, but every time I hop on Fortnite for a few rounds, there's a new gun, or there's a new area, or something in the map has changed. And I guess Rockstar can kind of take this to heart as well, because if they were to release like a new collectible or a new thing to do, while it is small and seemingly insignificant, it will get more people to come back to the game and kind of make it feel like it's fresher than it actually is. In the grand scheme of things, this DLC didn't really add anything new. Obviously, the quality of life changes, while some of them are lesser impactful than the others. A lot of it really kind of boils down to this should have been done years ago. And I feel that this quality of life update is really just being kind of praised and held on the highest standards, like, look, Rockstar did this thing, and Rockstar's like, yes guys, we did. Can we get some compliments for this? When in reality, the game is now in its 9th year, and in all honesty, this should have been something that had been actively done over the past few years. There's still so much things that are broken in GTA Online, need fixing. There's apparently like still 5 new God mode glitches that are still going to be reigning supreme for years to come. There's just so much still to fix and to improve in the game. And then with an update like this, in a way to me it kind of feels like a slap in the face. That pretty much towards the end of the life cycle of the game, Rockstar finally decides, you know what, maybe you should actually try to improve the game. When honestly, this is probably something that might have been included within the expanded and enhanced versions of the game back in March, but they didn't have the time to implement it in time, so they kind of was like, you know what, we'll do it during the summer. A lot of this stuff, and especially the new payout increases to races and adversary modes, I mean especially adversary modes, are just simply not enough. Adversary mode payout increases are still pathetic. I spent 15 minutes in an adversary mode and the winning team got $33,000. That is pathetic. And I don't mean this as a, it pays too little, type of thing. I mean this from a standpoint that the adversary modes have a pitiful amount of money. And even with double or triple cash, even after this change, there's still not going to be enough money for people to be intensified to go play the game modes. Now granted, something like Sumo Remix is just something that's just fun to play. And a lot of people would just probably play that for the fun of it. But I think if you want to have more people enticed to go and try new things and try new game modes and pull them away from the Cayo Perico heist, there's just so much still to do when it comes to payouts. Now granted, the Cayo Perico heist nerf was not as bad as it is, and some might even argue, including myself, that in a way it's also been buffed. If you need to know more about how you can skip the cooldown and how the new Cayo Perico heist version works, make sure to check out the 2 videos I did on that in the channel, and which I'll also link in the eye on the top of your screen and in the description and all that stuff. And to sit here and say that this was a great DLC would not be a fair thing to say to literally every other DLC ever. Because realistically speaking, when it comes to your DLC, you expect new content. And the new content that we've got is only 6 new missions, as well as just a couple of new things added to existing businesses, which most of us might just play just the one time to see if they can get lucky and get it. And granted, I have tried, but when it comes to the crates business, good luck trying to get those 2 other missions. missions. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't particularly feel like constantly switching between sessions just to get to new CEO missions. I'll just look it up on YouTube instead, or just not bother with it at all, because at the end of the day, it's still the CEO warehouse, and I don't enjoy doing those source missions, because they're really boring. Like, I'm honestly just here to judge what the content is that was added to the game, and if there's something to judge about it, it's the new missions. And granted, I have to admit to the fact that the new missions that they have added were cool, and you can definitely tell that there was definitely some time and care spent into these missions to make sure that they're not your bog standard contact missions. Especially the last mission, a lot of people have given it quite a bit of praise considering how creepy they felt it was, and it was really something different than you normally get in your GTA missions. Something that I hope that Rockstar will continue to innovate with and try to make sure that we have some new and fresh missions rather than the same old, same old. A lot of the missions really felt like they were trying to be different from each other. They were trying to utilize things that we don't usually do within GTA Online, and honestly, I was quite enjoying myself, and I can definitely see myself playing through these once or twice again. But this is really something that's going to hold us over for the next 6 months until we get an actual DLC in December? Probably not, because the content in here is really not an awful lot. Dripfeed really is going to try to carry this all the way until October. And are people really going to continue to be interested in a game that released a DLC that most people just feel like too little too late? The DLC is really just predominantly the quality of life stuff. And while it is something that I can appreciate, and I do appreciate, I also have to just be fair and recognize the fact that Rockstar is now in its 9th year of this game and is now finally deciding to start fixing things. Well, there is such a very, very long list of things that are still broken. The God mode glitches, the Doomsday heist that still has that CEO bug after what? 5 years? The list goes on and on with things that are still broken in the game that can definitely do with a fix. But then to kind of go around and be like, hey guys, quality of life, look at it. The game is at an age where it needs new and fresh content to keep people from coming back. And while those missions are nice, realistically speaking, in 2, maybe 3 hours if you're really stretching it, you've played all the content that GTA Online has to offer all the way until December. Because are you really going to log back in to try to shoot a few NPCs with an M16 or collect a few things around the map? Personally, if I was not a GTA content creator and I wouldn't be making videos on this stuff, I'd probably just stick with the game that I was currently playing, and maybe at the end of all the drip seed cycles, I'll probably go back and check it out. But having said all that, I do want to stress that if you are someone who is kind of on the fence whether or not they should bother playing the DLC, I do encourage it. Those 6 missions are definitely something that is worth looking into and playing through, because they are quite fun missions. Especially if you enjoyed the Doomsday heist, you might get some cool throwbacks from it as well. Sadly, the first cutscene is something that I was hoping was going to be a little bit more, but I guess it is what it is. Regardless, those are some of my thoughts. Of course, I'd love to know what you think in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and if you like what you see on the channel, make sure to become a member like Chloe, Robert, and KFC Chicken. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all later.